Lev Dermen, the man who former UDP Minister John Saldivar said he accepted campaign monies from in tranches, is spending 40 years behind bars, along with his former business partners Jacob and Isaiah Kingston, and the Kingstons' mother, Rachel, and Jacob's wife, Sally. All were convicted of colluding to fraudulently claim refunds of more than $1 billion in renewable fuel tax credits from 2010 to 2018. Monies that were disbursed from the fraudulent claims were distributed to Dermen and the Kingstons. Dermen had Jacob Kingston send more than $700,000 on his behalf to purchase land in Belize, where they would have opened a casino. But the plan backfired when the details of the money transactions came to light during the quintet's 7-week trial. At that time, Jacob Kingston testified that he had communicated with Saldivar via text messages on Dermen's behalf on how he would get monies to Saldivar. Saldivar, who had just won the bid for his party's leadership over Patrick Farber around the time when the Dermen case began, was forced to resign as the leader-elect just 3 days after his convention victory and was suspended as a government minister. From the time the news broke, Saldivar has always maintained that he never saw his acceptance of the monies as corruption and swore that he did nothing criminal or unethical in accepting the monies. But last November, the United States designated Saldivar for his, quote, involvement in significant corruption, unquote. The U.S. accused Saldivar of accepting bribes for the improper acquisition of Belizean immigration documents and that he interfered in public processes for his personal benefit during his tenure as a government official. Saldivar and his immediate family members were effectively banned from setting foot on U.S. soil. Saldivar came forth soon after to speak his mind about the designation by the U.S. government.
My child of 9 years old, though not named in the actual information sheet, is targeted by this action. My son of 15 years old has been named. My other son, who has lived the last 16 years in the United Kingdom, has been named, as well as my daughter, my eldest daughter, who has also lived in the United Kingdom for the last 16 years, has been named, as well as, of course, my wife. I find this to be egregious. I find this to be unjust for them to also be targeted on this, in this, not to mention that I find it unjust that I be targeted without any opportunity at all to respond to the charges. But this is not just about John Saldivar. This is about human rights of all. This is about natural justice. This is about due process. Let me state, therefore, for the record, as I have stated many times before, I am innocent of any allegations that have been made against me. At no time have I participated in any corruption at the Immigration Department while I was the minister, or even before or after. And there can never be any proof brought out against me in that respect. I challenge the United States government to provide that proof. I have no difficulty in facing a trial, whether here in Belize or abroad in the US, once those evidence are presented to me, so that I may answer properly. I am not a corrupt person. As a matter of fact, I have conducted myself in public life. You would almost want to say that, as the saying in Creole goes, Maklala look like snake for me when it comes to corrupt acts. I have guarded my reputation. Unfortunately, incidences like the one with Lev Dermen, again, where I was not involved in any corruption, have cast aspersions on my reputation.
In the first week of December, the United Democratic Party's special committee voted that Saldivar could no longer run as a candidate for the party in Belmopan. Only 2 weeks later, however, the UDP's National Party Council held a vote of its own on the matter, and Saldivar narrowly won the support of that body. But his own party leader, Shine Barrow, had called on Belmopan voters to reject Saldivar and went further to suggest that Saldivar should be criminally charged.
Endemic corruption is a bipartisan matter. And I would think, with the vigor that the Briceño administration went after Rennie Montero for essentially the same thing, using their ministerial powers to abuse assets under their control for personal gain. That is what I heard on the recording about the Mormons and Mr. Lev Dermen. It's clear in the Constitution that you can't use your office for personal gain. And so if a willful suppression charge could be slapped on Mr. Montero, I don't see why it can't be applied to Mr. Saldivar. And if they are not prepared to do that, then they are not serious about fighting corruption, and they can have nothing to say to the opposition as we proceed. While I hope, I implore all eligible voters in Belmopan that can vote in the UDP convention for Belmopan to vote for anybody except Mr. Saldivar. Either one of the candidates would be better for Belmopan, better for the UDP, and better for the country.
Interestingly, while the Lev Dermen saga has pitted Saldivar's back against the wall, he always seems to persevere. Despite Barrow's vote of disapproval of him at the convention in January, Saldivar went on to contest and win the convention for the UDP in Belmopan, the area that he represented prior to losing the last general election. Upon Dermen's guilty verdict, the special agent in charge, Michael Mentlavos, had said that the verdict brings Dermen and his co-conspirators to justice, that they created and implemented the massive biofuel scheme to fund their greed at the expense of taxpayers. And Principal Deputy Assistant Attorney General Richard Zuckerman of the Justice Department's Tax Division had said that the conviction should serve as clear notice to criminals who engage in any form of tax fraud in the U.S. The biofuel tax credit program was established by the U.S. government to promote a clean fuel alternative to traditional fuel options. Upon Dermen's sentencing on Friday, Acting Deputy Assistant Attorney General of the LA Justice Department's Tax Division, Stuart Goldberg, said that Dermen and members of the Kingston family cost law-abiding taxpayers more than $500 million and attempted to steal double that amount. Reporting for News 5, I'm Marion Ali.